what is a backdoor Roth and what are the steps to do it? I can grab this question.
Okay.
So a backdoor Roth is the idea is that you have an IRA account and it's an empty IRA account and you add non-deductible funds into it, and then at a later time you would then convert it into a Roth. And so it's kind of like you do these multiple steps and you can, in a sense, backdoor it. And it's a kind of a gray area of doing this. Um, you will also hear things about a mega backdoor Roth, which is doing after tax contributions to a 401k that, and then doing a similar kind of conversion. Mega backdoor is a little bit more troublesome because your company has to be able to do it. You have to be able to do in-plan distributions. Depending on how your company accounts for the 401k, you may have a portion of it being taxable. So you have to check with your company. But for a backdoor Roth is you want to have no money in IRAs currently. So if you have monies in IRAs, one way to get rid of it is either convert it or you can transfer it into your 401k. And so you kind of need to start with a blank slate. Otherwise, you're going to be paying taxes because there's this coffee and cream principle. And so that principle means that you have to combine all the assets into one kind of block. And then you can't just pick and choose what assets you're taking out and converting. And so
Yeah.
that would be the first step. And then after that, you would invest it and you'd wait a year. If you're more aggressive, some people say one statement, but usually you have to do this kind of a step transaction, because if the IRS sees that you put money into an IRA and then you convert it instantly, they thinking this is considered one transaction. And so you have to make it so it seems like multiple transactions. And so that's why there's this 1 year rule. And so you're in that 1 year, you want to invest it and you'll have some gains, but you're only going to pay on the gains. You're not going to pay on that whatever amount that you contribute after tax. And so that would be funneled into your Roth IRA. And then over time, you just keep repeating these steps. So, after you've converted, the next year, you would wait a couple weeks and then you add more money to your IRA again. And then you'd wait another year to do the Roth conversion. And so you keep doing this. And one thing is, never put a note that you're talking about this. It's kind of this gray area. And so you don't want anything written to talk about that.
Yeah, we've been asked several times about backdoor Roths. Around this time of the year that comes up, where clients will come in and say, "Oh, I've heard about a backdoor Roth. I want to do backdoor Roth." And really, what breaks it down almost every single time is that they have $300,000 or $500,000 in an existing IRA, and so if they put $7,000 with the catch-up basis, into that IRA, they can't move that exact 7,000 out, so they can only take a proportional bit, and so some of it's going to be taxable. It's a mess. So you're right. I mean, the big issue is having no IRA, and we don't see that very often. Honestly, people generally have it, although it does happen with somebody that has everything in their 401k. They can do a backdoor Roth that way. So anyway, it's a really interesting area altogether. Yeah, it gets asked about a fair amount. It's a little bit hard to execute.
Yeah, and it's weird because it's a bit of a gray area. So like you never know when the IRS is going to decide times are changing and we're not going to allow this anymore.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you have to be always wary of that.
yeah, yeah. That's right. It's fairly small dollar amounts too for what we're dealing with. You're capped at $6,000 to $7,000 a year in that backdoor Roth, mega backdoor Roth, a different thing. That's really to 401k could be a lot more money, but just the backdoor Roth is just dealing with an IRA. It's somewhat limited into what you can actually do with it too, but definitely worth looking at if you're in the right situation.
Yeah, and you this is always when you've exhausted all your other methods, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like say I make too much money to contribute to a Roth IRA, I already maxed my 401k. I don't have a Roth 401k. So this is where you kind of have to think about it. Now I'm starting to get into like the more complex and kind of more niche
Yeah,
conversions.
yeah, yep, that makes sense.